Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Y'all ready for this?
Welcome to another episode of Average Jocks podcast. This week we welcome Ken Campbell. Ken, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
So for those of you that may not have been avid readers growing up, like myself, Ken used to be a senior writer for the Hockey News and a beat reporter for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ken, do you want to kind of give maybe a brief history and where you are now for our watchers or viewers?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've been, I guess I'm old if you guys read me when you were young. So I get that a lot now.
I'm still young, though.
Unfortunately, I get that a lot. I read you when I was young. But yeah, that's the way it goes. I've been doing this for quite a while. I started in the 80s, actually, at the Hockey News in the late 80s as a copy editor, and then did that for about 10 years and wrote there, and then went to the Toronto Star for another 8 or 9 years to cover the Maple Leafs for the Toronto Star, and that was great. That was fantastic. And then I ended up going back to the Hockey News in 2007 or 2008, something like that. And was the senior writer there for until the June of 2021. And now I still freelance for the Hockey News, so my work is still in the Hockey News pretty regularly. And I also have my own platform, which is called Hockey Unfiltered, which is on Substack at ken.campbell.substack.com. I think that's what it is.
I can put the link up in our description. I know I was on your site earlier.
Okay, and it's got, I usually post a couple of things a week on there, and I do a podcast once a week, and so I'm still involved, not quite as heavily as I have been in the past, but still, blessed and lucky to be able to cover this game.
Well, I know I always loved your columns, and I always, as a kid, was like, man, that's such a cool job. Like, just write, talk about hockey. You're getting paid to talk about hockey.
People always say, do you get into the games for free? And you say, no, actually, I get paid to go to the games.
Yeah,
it's even better.
That's even better.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, we pay to go to the games and still pay $12 a beer to go. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, see, there's the downside for me. I can't drink while I'm at the game.
Okay, well,
even though some people might accuse me of drinking while I'm writing, that I haven't done that. But yeah, no, it's been, it's a blessing, and I've been really, really lucky to be able to do this for a long time and be able to make a living from it. That's I think that's the great part about it, is you can do what you love doing and make a decent living at it. So no complaints for me.
Well, I know I'm still a fan and a subscriber, so I always look forward to your pieces.
Thank you.
So we'll go into our first topic, and I know I actually, as I was creeping your website earlier today, you guys actually did a mid-season trophy winners.
Right.
So I guess this will kind of be a rehash for you, but new for us.
Okay.
So we'll go over the mid-season winners in our books.
Yeah.
We'll just go around and share who everybody has.
Sure.
We'll have Adam kind of read off for those who aren't necessarily familiar with all the trophies, kind of obviously their name and what they're given out for, and then we'll kind of go around and we'll make our way through the big ones. We won't worry about
You know,
Yeah.
well, the playoffs haven't happened yet,
Yeah,
so we
that's
can't
true.
do those
Yeah,
ones
there-
yet.
Can't do the Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
Can't do the Conn Smythe. But
Yeah.
we can have fun. We can have fun.
Yeah, we can have fun.
We can do it.
we
I
can
don't mind
guess.
doing
Yeah,
that.
we can guess.
I
Yeah,
didn't know you were leaving out the
Yeah,
playoff
I
ones.
mean,
so-
at this
Okay,
point,
well, let's go with but if we're not going to do Lady Bing because that's not like really one of the big ones, but I mean, you got to give it to Cole Caulfield right now, right?
Come on,
Okay,
yeah,
I was-
of
20
I
course,
was worried
yeah, of course.
whenever you said you were, you were a beat writer for the Leafs for almost a decade.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I felt like if we brought up Lady Bing, my pick was Cole Caulfield.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah, 26 goals, no penalty minutes.
yeah.
Like,
Get serious.
Yeah.
No, he's got it. He's got it in the bag. I think.
yeah.
Well, hopefully, I mean, there's still
Unless he
half a
goes off
season
and
left,
does
but
something, you know,
I
he-
mean, even last year, he only had 10 penalty minutes in 67 games.
yeah, and it's not like it's not like he's not involved. I mean, he gets in there, he gets into the dirty areas, he has to fight for pucks and
Mhm.
and that kind of thing, and he's doing a pretty good job of it without taking any penalties. So yeah, I would be on the Cole Caulfield bandwagon there for sure.
Well, you know what? That wraps up the Lady Bing pretty
That's
quickly.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it brings it back to the days in Saku Koivu when the Lady Bing.
Uh,
But hey,
I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
I know, but the Habs got to be happy about something this year. It's not going to be a winning season, so
That's fair.
Yeah, but you know what, guys? It wasn't supposed to be a winning season,
That's
and
very true.
yeah,
and like I just did a piece that's coming out in the Hockey News in a little while on their 4 rookie defensemen, and I mean, I'm assuming Caden Gooley's going to play 40 games this year. He's hurt and will be out and probably till about late April, early March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they do that, if he plays 40 games, that means the Canadiens will be the 3rd team in NHL history to have 4 rookie defensemen play 40 games or more.
Mhm.
The first team to do it was the 67-68 Los Angeles Kings, who were an expansion team, and they had Bill White and Dale Rolfe on their blue line as they were considered rookies, and Bill White was like 28 and Dale Rolfe was like 27, and they both played like 7 years in the minors. And then the Bruins in 84-85 had 4 rookie guys play 40 games on the blue line. So you know what? And they're all like, I mean, yeah, they get caved in once in a while, right? I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, Caden Gooley, the minutes that he's playing and the assignments that he's getting, he's going to get caved in once in a while, right? But I mean, Kovacevic's like underlying numbers are actually pretty good.
Yeah, he's been a surprise.
Yeah.
That was like
Honestly.
a great waiver pickup, in my opinion.
Almost
And,
Byron-esque.
yeah, You pick him up.
Yeah, and I mean, Arbor Jacki, I mean, the guy's leading all rookies and rookie defensemen in goals. He's leading everybody in penalty minutes. The whole
You would-
Yeah.
You would think Bergevin got him at Costco for what a deal he got.
Yeah, exactly. And then Gooley. I mean, Gooley's going to be a stud, right? So, and then you got Jordan Harrison there, who's a really nice, smart player who just makes plays and does it without a whole lot of fanfare. So, you can combine that with the fact that you've got a Suzuki and you've got a Caulfield, and it looks like they've unlocked something in Kirby Dach here that I didn't think was unlockable. So I mean, I think you got to be pretty happy if you're a Habs fan with the way this season is going.
I'm pleasantly
Oh,
surprised.
Oh, for sure. I think it's just the fact that I guess you're always hard on your own team when you're watching them. But I think our future is bright. I think so, anyway.
But also feel like our team has never, like, whatever GM we've had has never committed to saying this is a rebuild or this is how we're going. And I feel like bringing in Jeff Gordon right before he left the Rangers, they put out that letter being super
Yeah. He did that in New York. He's been through that already.
So I think
they get a lot of runway too, right? Like they get a lot of runway. I mean, they're going to be able to be lousy for a couple of years, and people are going to be okay with that. I mean, you look for incremental improvements, and there has been some incremental improvement this year. You look for a little bit more next year, and then maybe the year after that, you're like, okay, maybe they make the playoffs and win a round, and then you start going, okay, this core is something that's gonna get it done. So yeah. Anyways, we're not talking about work.
Yeah. All that from the Lady Bing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What trophy are we doing?
All right. Well, we'll start with the Hart Memorial Trophy, which is awarded to the player that's been most valuable for their team so far.
I mean, I don't. He's ahead, what, 17, 20 points, something like that, ahead the second place. It has to be Connor McDavid.
I mean, it's
Yeah, it
definitely
does. It does. It does. And I agree with you, but like he's got fewer than half his points are at even strength, eh? Like he's got 83 points and 40 are at even strength. So I think, I mean it is Connor, but I don't think it's like a slam dunk. Like for me, I gotta think David Pasternak's gotta get some love here, man. Like he's the best player on the best team in the NHL.
You know what? He wasn't even my second. My second would have been Jason Roberts.
Well, or like he might have been my second, or like for me, it might be Cale Makar. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Cale Makar is playing 27 minutes a game, and he's holding together a team that is just like, been devastated by injuries. So I think it's Connor at this point, and I mean, it should probably be Connor at this point, and it likely will be Connor. But I don't think it's like the biggest slam dunk of all time.
Yeah. And you know what? 100% the numbers that Pasternak's putting up, and I forget what it was, but I was looking at his stats today, just his shooting stats. Like I think he has like 211 shots. Like some guys have that total or don't even hit that total throughout an entire year, and he has it at the halfway mark.
Yeah, he's and he scores a lot of big goals. Like he scores a lot of first goals. He scores a lot of like goals that get them back into games. I mean, they don't really have to get back into too many games this year because they usually win. So but I mean, he scores big points, and you know what? Like, I mean, you look at it and you go, okay, well, they took him off the line, right? Like they took him off the big line, and now, like for a while, his line mates were Krejci and Hall, and now they're Krejci and Zaka, and like he hasn't slowed down a bit.
Well, no, and I think Krejci had 3 or 4 assists today.
I think he did. I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
The whole team,
right
about
that.
Whole team is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're ridiculous.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, Pasternak, Robertson, McDavid all have merit in like you said, Makar.
Yeah.
I think though.
Yeah.
So all unanimous, Connor right now, if it ends today.
Yeah, I'm there.
If it ends today, well, just
pretty hard to go against that one. Yeah.
All right, what do we have next, Adam?
All right, well, let's go with another obvious one. Well, not obvious one, but the Vezina Trophy, which is awarded to the league's best performing goalie.
Connor Hellebuyck.
That's I mean I'm not against that. It's a great pick.
You're on that one, yeah.
Yeah. Like I mean,
I in my head have Linus Ullmark.
Yeah. Linus Ullmark. I think UC Saros is going to make a real charge here too.
UC Saros, Sorokin's numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah, Sorokin's
numbers
on a bad team. Yeah. And it's not going to be the guy who won it last year at this point. No. And it's not going to be a bunch of guys that were really good last year.
Yeah.
Because and I think we're going to talk about this a little later. It just seems to me like everybody's guessing with goalies now. But I mean, I think any one of those guys. But to me, Hellebuyck is I mean, they are so overachieving and they rely on him so heavily that for me, I mean, he's the guy. But I mean, Linus Ullmark is a pretty good choice too. Yeah.
You know what though, in to back up what you guys are saying about Hellebuyck, he has to be one of the only goalies left. Like if you think back maybe 8 to 10 years, and you had so many goalies in the league that were playing, 60, 65, 70 games a season.
Yeah.
He's probably the only guy left that's doing that. Like everybody else is kind of back to a tandem 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
Or their starters playing 50, 55 games now, and they got a better backup. He's, I think, the only guy that's still cranking out 60, 65, games, 70.
Yeah. 70 games. You're right. Yeah, you're right. And like, who is the backup goalie for Winnipeg?
David Riddick.
Yeah, that's it. David Riddick. Yeah. Okay.
And last year was Buffalo.
I was thinking, no, it's not Laurent Brossoit. It's not Laurent Brossoit. It's not
Comrie. Was it last year? Eric Comrie.
Comrie.
Last year, he's now the third goalie in Buffalo.
Yeah.
David Riddick is back up.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, Like I was thinking about this the other day while I was out walking, and I was thinking like Glenn Hall's record, like there's some records that are never going to get even close to approached.
Mm-hmm.
And his record of 503 games in a row, like you can't, like a goalie now can't even play 5 in a row. You know what I mean? Like it's like if a goalie plays 5 in a row, you're like beating him like a rented mule, and you got to put the other guy in there for a game or two, right? So just amazing.
Yeah.
That's the thing too, right? So those games, those backup goalies need to be ready to go, but some teams don't have that goalie to be able to jump in to Hellebuck skates to take over for a game, So that's why I feel like Winnipeg is like, well, we're just gonna keep playing, we're gonna keep riding you until the wheels fall off, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the only teams that I would say don't necessarily have confidence in a backup goaltender.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
But again, like you said, our talking points for a little later on about all the goaltending struggles in the league.
Yeah.
What's the next trophy you got for us?
All right, so another one we can go with is the Art Ross. I mean, it is for whoever leads the league at the end of the year with points. But I guess we can just pick the player who we think is gonna finish top of the league.
Well, it's Connor. I mean,
it's either going to be him or unless Draisaitl goes on a crazy spurt. But
even if Draisaitl goes on a crazy spurt, probably a lot of those points are going to be on the power play, and Connor's going to get points on those points.
I think the only way Connor loses this if he gets hurt.
Yeah,
and then it becomes maybe a 3-pony race between Robertson, Pasternak, Draisaitl.
Yeah.
But Connor would need to be hurt for a significant amount of time because right now, with all these guys playing, he's 20 points ahead.
Which is
so
crazy.
even if he's
15 ahead, I think he's 15 ahead of Draisaitl right now.
Yeah.
And
but even
like if it was
ahead of somebody,
if it was 15 ahead of a guy on another team, you'd say okay maybe, but he's 15 ahead of his own teammate with whom he plays on the power play.
Yeah.
And so if you think even if Draisaitl goes bonkers in the last 35 games here or whatever they have left, like more than half of those, or at least half of those points are going to be on the power play. And McDavid's going to be getting points off of those points too. So they're all going to cancel out.
What do you think a realistic number for Connor to finish with? Like, obviously he's what? He's at 80 something right now.
Yeah. Like he would be a point a game player if he missed the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So
he's scary. He's a freak. He's a freak.
Yeah. I mean 150 is probably quite achievable for him.
Yeah. And it's like in those Edmonton games, those games don't finish 2-1 or like 1-0. Those Edmonton games sometimes
because usually
like 6-5. Speaking of goalies,
they got to outscore their goaltending most of the time.
Exactly, and it's been like that for a few years where they're like, well, we'll find a goalie that can make the saves, and Connor will just score 5, get 5 goals. It's
other than a great mustache, Stuart Skinner's not bringing much to the table.
Yeah,
I mean he's better than what they've had in the last few years.
He hasn't been too bad. Stuart Skinner's actually hasn't been too bad. I think he's been basically average, which is kind of what Edmonton needs. There are some teams where the guy doesn't have to win the games; he just can't lose them. And too many times they've had a guy in there who's lost them games, and you know who that guy is. He's coming around. I mean, the last couple of games he's played a lot better, but I got to see a better body of work from that guy before I start believing that he's turned it around.
No, they're again goaltending woes a little bit later on.
It's not just them; it's everyone around the league, right? So, the next one we can go with is the Calder, which is given the player his first year, the rookie of the year, rookie of the year,
yeah. Well, it's too bad Kuzmenko is not eligible for this award because I think he'd be right there with the guy who I think is going to win, which is Matty Beniers.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, Matty Beniers is playing top line minutes. I mean, I mean, he gets to play with Eberle and McCann, and that's all good, but he's proven he can play with those guys, and he's getting all the tough assignments, right?
He is.
Like he's not getting shielded. He's
scoring big goals.
He's not getting Wyatt Johnson minutes, right? Like Wyatt Johnson is not getting the toughest minutes in Dallas, and he's been good, but I mean, Matty Beniers has 18 goals. He's probably going to end up with he's probably going to close in on 30.
Yeah,
you would think somewhere in the 25 to 30 range. and he's been good, and he's been a part of the reason why the Seattle Kraken have had such a resurgence this year.
Yeah,
So
he looks
yeah, for me
sharp,
it's
yeah.
Beniers. And it's, I mean, for a while there at the beginning of the year, I was thinking maybe Logan Thompson, but
Mhm.
he's kind of tailed off quite a bit. And
Yeah, that he was. I think whenever Justin and I first started doing predictions at the beginning of the year, Logan Thompson was a name that circled around, but he has dropped off quite a bit. But Matty Beniers, I think is a lock at
Yeah.
this point. And again, Kuzmenko would have been right there if he was eligible. Unfortunately, unlike Bunting last year, he doesn't fit
he's
that age
just a bit
bracket.
too
But
old. Yep, just a bit too old. Yep.
Yeah.
anybody else you have, or you also have Beniers?
No, I'm okay with that. Every time we
Oh,
hear
yeah.
Kraken,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the name that comes up, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly how it is. Next
Yeah.
one we can go with would be the Ted Lindsay, the MVP. I guess halfway through we can call who's the halfway point MVP. I mean, again,
I mean, for the sake
It's a
of not
broken-
saying Connor
it's a
a
bit of
third
a
or fourth
broken
time,
record, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this is
mean-
a bit of a broken record. He's got it.
you
He's
know,
got it.
and that's the thing with all these awards. It just comes back around to Connor. It's gonna.
I
like you
mean,
said, the
if
broken
it's not
record.
Connor, I think you said it earlier. It has to be Pasta at
Yeah.
this point, just with how dominant he's been. But again, I mean,
Well, if it's not Connor McDavid, then we know that everybody in the league hates Connor McDavid.
yeah,
Because, like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just can't see it not being him.
it's tough. Like, and maybe things will change if Austin Matthews or Connor Bedard come in and give him a run for his money. But I think it's a
Yeah,
lock.
for the next couple of years, he's got a few of these awards locked up. If he stays
Yeah.
healthy and
Mhm.
plays the game that he's playing, I think the next couple of years he can have a lot of these awards locked up. No questions.
Yeah.
All right, so next one we can go with would we can guess halfway point coach of the year, the Jack Adams.
I'm on the Dave Haxtell bandwagon, guys. I'm on the Dave Haxtell bandwagon. Like, I mean, there's the Jim Montgomery vote.
That would have been my pick. Was
Yeah,
Jim
I mean
Montgomery.
that's a good one too, because I mean nobody thought that the Bruins were going to do what they've done. Like, they were supposed to. This was supposed to be, the year that they regressed, and it's not been that. They just don't lose to anybody ever, except for Seattle the other night.
Yeah.
Their first home loss was to Seattle and Martin Jones. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. But
Hey, you know what? Martin Jones, I have him in fantasy hockey. He picked me up 18 points last week. So I am now on the Martin Jones fan.
Well,
base.
yeah, I would be a little worried about. I don't know. But I keep thinking, when's he gonna falter? When's he gonna falter? And he hasn't this year. He's been good.
But like Adam said, with the Oilers having shootout games, it's pretty
Yeah.
much the same. Like, I'll look at my thing. Oh, end of the first period, 5-4 Seattle Kraken versus the LA Kings. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Final score 11-12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, was Seattle beat? Was it Chicago that they were beaten 6-0 after the first period?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, these aren't your older brothers, Seattle Kraken. They're definitely a different group. I think they've unlocked a lot of things. I mean, they've had some good acquisitions, but I think Dave Haxtell's done a really, really good job. And I mean, Jim Montgomery, I certainly wouldn't. We don't vote. The writers don't vote on that one. So,
if there was one knock I can give Jim Montgomery, it's the sweater vest. I think he has to lose the sweater vest. It just reminds me of this like European coaching where you see them all sweater vests and the pins and like, I don't know, it just bothers me when I see him. I don't know if it's just super cold at TD Garden.
No style points for the Adams Award.
Yeah, no style points. No, definitely not in Boston too. Yeah, you gotta. I don't know
what's happening there.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Don Cherry won an Adams Award, and look at the way he dresses. So there you go.
Fair. That's fair.
I feel like I can't say Dave Haxtell just because I ragged on him so much in the first 2 months of the season with how they handled, or how I felt they handled, the Shane Wright situation. So I feel like if I went back and said Dave Hackstall should win the Jack Adams, I'd sound like a hypocrite.
But I think that's part of the reason why he should win. I think they handled the Shane Wright situation very, very well. I actually do, and I know that a lot of people will disagree with me, but the kid's 18. He's, I mean, it's a man's league. It's a man's league. Jacques Martin said it when Jason Spezza was a rookie. He's a boy playing in a man's league. And you know what? He didn't make them demonstrably better. You look at a guy like Matty Beniers, who's a year older than Shane Wright, or 1 or 2 years older than Shane Wright, and look what he's doing, right? And to me, Shane Wright, he was in and out of the lineup. He practiced with the NHL team. He soaked all that in. Went to the minors, did real well. Went to the World Juniors and did decently well. Like, he was okay. Like, he wasn't spectacular, but he was very good. And now he's in junior hockey, and I think in 3 games he has 6 points. And he's on a team that might go to the Memorial Cup. So, you know what? He comes back next year, and I think he's way more ready to play in the NHL than he would have been this year. And who knows what, if he had played irregularly and not had success and got exposed and, that kind of thing, like what that would have done for his confidence. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the Seattle Kraken have put Shane Wright on the road to ruin by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I don't think so either. I think, I think it just, again, those it's like this year with Bedard. It's just his name was up in the draft, and then he was supposed to go first. I ended up going a couple picks later, and I think just like you said, I don't think they dealt with it properly, in my opinion, because they let Shane Wright just develop a bit more. I mean, he'll come back next year, like you said, and I think he'll be great next year.
To me, dealing with Shane Wright perfectly would have been sending him back to junior after a couple of games.
That was my kind of stick, is making him a healthy scratch. His parents flew out to the game.
Yeah.
Like, grandparents as well flew out. They scratch him knowing that his family's there. They started the season off kind of rocky, so it was almost like, what do you do? Like, what's the harm in playing this guy? Yeah. So his grandparents flew out to see, I don't know. I just feel like it's almost the same thing that they did to Brock Besser in Vancouver, scratching him on Hockey Fights Cancer Night when his dad just died of cancer. I don't know. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And it was not to put all the blame on Dave Hackstall. These conversations probably happened with Ron Francis as well, and his agent, and Shane himself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like early on, that's what really bugged me. I would have liked to have seen, you played 5 games, like you said, boy playing in a men's league.
Yeah.
Head back down to wherever. But again, whatever. We're not privy to the dressing room conversations, but
no, exactly.
Yeah, I just feel like a hypocrite if I said Dave Hackstall, so I can't do it. So even though I don't want to vote for Sweater Vest, I'm going to vote Jim Montgomery.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Are you going with one of those 2 options?
Yeah. Doesn't really, like I said, I'm okay with that. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Let's go with the James Norris, which is given to the best defenseman. So
this one's tough.
Yeah.
You have the guy who's carrying his team, or you have the guy who's putting up stupid offensive numbers on a bad team.
Yeah.
And Erik Karlsson had 2 points today.
Yeah.
I don't know when you're posting this, but we're recording it on Monday. Erik Karlsson had 2 points today, and he has more points this season now, at this point of this season, than he's had the past 2 seasons combined. Mm-hmm. He leads the league in even strength points at 41. Leads the league, not all defensemen, the league in even strength points. So I mean, he's, and he's playing 25 minutes a game. He's playing the hard minutes, but for me, I don't know. It's still Cale Makar.
But how often do you see the trophy go to somebody who's not leading points as a defenseman?
Not always, but yeah. No, I know. I get that.
Another name that definitely deserves to be out there having a great season is Roman Josi again.
He's really picked it up. Yeah, Josh Morrissey there for a while was looking pretty good.
I feel like any of those 4, I would be okay giving that trophy to.
Mm-hmm.
if I have to say right now who I think it's going to, I think it's going to Erik Karlsson, especially if he can keep up this pace.
That's the thing. If he can keep up the pace, I think it's the first year in how many years Carlson, is back to, we'll say, his old self when he was before.
Pre Matt Cook cut to the Achilles.
So
well, he's playing the way he played in 2017 in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's what he's doing. That's the impact he's having on the games. And I mean, speaking of which, we don't even know where he's going to be finishing the season this year.
Yeah.
Well,
I even read today, who was it that tweeted it out, but just saying that now San Jose's kind of backing off that and weighing options to keep him. I would still trade him just based on the rest of the team, but like,
interesting.
Is this trade even doable in the season? Like, I feel like it's going to be massive.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be 3 teams, and 2 teams are going to have to take on some salary, and it's going to have to be one of those crazy big things where a bunch of prospects move, and
yeah. Before we move on, do you have a favorite? Do you have a location you think Erik Karlsson would go to if you had your betting man?
Wow. Oh man, I haven't even really thought of it. I don't know. Everybody goes to New York, don't they? Don't all the big guys go to New York? Isn't that where they all end up?
Do they have the cap space though?
I don't think so. Does
anybody? Like you said, like
Trouba, Fox, Shesterkin,
like nobody has the cap space.
Panarin.
I mean, imagine they reunited him with Brent Burns in Carolina. That defense would be insane. Like Dylan
they would struggle cap. What's Kotkaniemi's value right now? Like, take on his salary with
that's the thing. Like, it's a lot. I think a lot of these trades this year will be teams are gonna have to eat up cap space because, like you said, no one's got the cap space for anything.
Well, they're all gonna have to use the LTIR, and they're gonna have to, this one you're gonna have to really be creative. The only thing is like Edmonton doesn't need a puck moving defenseman.
No.
Toronto doesn't need a puck moving defenseman. So like, I mean, it'd be good and he'd be great anywhere. But you look at teams that might need like a guy that really moves the puck.
What about back to his former Ottawa Senators? I wouldn't mind seeing him back in the nation's capital.
Well, yeah, but then he's not like going as a guy that's gonna be a difference maker on a playoff team for a while. Because we were wrong. We were all wrong about the Ottawa Senators, guys. Every one of us.
I mean,
everybody who talked about the hot summer of Pierre and
and
how this team was good. We blew it.
Yeah,
yeah. So,
I was part of the you blew it team for sure.
I was all about it. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, where are we?
I mean,
I don't know.
Gone through most of them. We've got the Frank Selke. We can choose it. It's award to the forward that excels on the defensive aspect of the game.
I mean, they're gonna rename this the Patrice Bergeron Trophy. Does he win one more? I don't know. Austin Matthews, I feel, has played a strong defensive game as a forward this year. Nick Suzuki.
Yeah, I think Phil Deneau. Has really been good this year. And he's got the numbers now.
He's put up some serious points.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to put up. Like, for me, you can't just be a defensive guy. No. Even though that's the strict definition of the award, to me, it's always like the best two-way guy. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to be at least putting up decent numbers to win this award, in my opinion. So, yeah.
No, that's a good pick. I feel like I always forget kind of the West Coast teams.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eastern bias.
Very true.
Yeah, it's real. It exists.
It is. It very much is.
Yeah.
We've
pretty much gone through the main ones. So
yeah, I think we've gone through most of the best ones. Yeah,
do we want to get bold though and do playoffs?
We can if we want to pick one. Go. Yeah, I'm.
All right. Who do you have in the Stanley Cup final? If it ended today.
Oh wow. The Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
And the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
That could happen.
I mean, it can. You know what? That's not the pick that I was expecting to hear. But now that you say it,
so I want to
mean,
hear your two.
I mean, Boston, and like as a Habs fan, I hate to say it, but Boston's definitely going to be in there. They're just so strong right now. Like you can't. The team, they're just toying with teams out there. Like it's just not fair. Those two top lines are just so dominant, and the second team. I don't know. I really don't know. You can help me out on this one.
Well, my takes are bold. I am not putting Boston there. I think Boston's going to get upset. I have Carolina.
Okay.
And originally at the beginning of the year, I said Carolina, Calgary. I don't think Calgary's making it based on what they're doing. They would have to have a serious second half turnaround for them to get there. But I'm actually going to keep it in Canada, and I'm going to say a replay of the 2006 finals, Carolina and Edmonton.
Okay.
I think McDavid and Draisaitl are going to will that team's way to the Stanley Cup final. I think
Well, they willed it.
Connor is sick of losing there. He's just going to turn it on.
Again, they can do it. Those are the two guys.
Yeah, I just feel like you have to have an NHL defense core to win, and I just don't feel like they have an NHL caliber defense core.
They definitely don't. They definitely
don't.
That's why I made sure to say bold. It was a bold take.
Yeah.
And to me too, like the Oilers feast on the power play. Like they feast on the power play like I feast on Mandarin when I go. You know what I mean? They feast on it, and hey, they don't call penalties in the playoffs. So
yeah.
I mean,
I think with their raw talent, though, if Connor McDavid wants to go end and score a goal, he can go to end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Yeah. That's other than.
We didn't pick our Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So Dallas Stars, Boston Bruins. Ken, who's winning and in how many games?
Tampa Bay Lightning in 7.
You picked Boston, and
I know, but I'm spreading it out. I'm
okay.
I'm hedging my bets. I'm spreading it out a little bit.
All right. Boston.
Tampa's done it before.
Yeah.
They've been there before. They've been there. They've done that. They've seen everything. So, anyways.
So you've heard it here first. Boston and Dallas in the final, with Tampa Bay winning in 7.
Tampa Bay winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to stick between my two teams. I think the Carolina Hurricanes win it. And I'm going to go in 6.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't pick a second team, so I'm just going to take the Boston and Dallas, but I think I'm going to take Boston in 5.
Okay.
In your Conn Smythe winner.
Let's see. Conn Smythe winner. Linus Ullmark.
That's nice. Yeah.
From the losing team.
You want me to go? All right.
Yeah.
I think if I'm going to go with mine, I think it's going to be, I'm going to do a dark horse, and it's going to be from Boston. It's going to be Taylor Hall.
Interesting.
Okay.
Just because he's got that talent to turn it on, and like when playoff time comes, Boston's gonna need him to step it up and make those big moves. Like it's
I hear you.
And he's proven that he can do it years before. So
pull me up the Carolina goalie's name. It's gonna be I butcher this every week. Piotr.
Oh yeah, the Piotr guy. Yeah.
Piotr.
I'm gonna leave you hanging here.
Yeah. Sorry, man. My search.
We need to hire a third guy just to.
There you go.
Piotr Kochetkov.
Yeah. Say that 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, he can't speak English, so I don't feel bad that I can't say the Russian name. That's okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think he wins it. I think he'll steal a series.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also said the same thing about Alex Nedeljkovic, and now he's on waivers.
Now he's on waivers. Yeah, exactly. That's a surprise to me, but
it is
not a surprise that he's on waivers. It's a surprise how all of this has turned out.
Yeah, it's been a carousel. Which I mean, we might as well just go into the goalie woes. We've talked enough about it so far tonight. But I mean, every team, other than probably UC Saros in Nashville, Hellebuck in Winnipeg, and maybe the Boston duo of Swain and Allmark have really had up and down seasons, which is surprising because we're used to Jacob Markstrom being lights out.
Right.
Excuse me, Andrei Vasilevsky lights out. Igor Shesterkin lights out.
Yeah.
Ilya Sorokin lights out. And it's not been that case.
No, like last year, 9 guys got votes for the Vezina Trophy. The GMs vote on it, so it's a fairly small. It's obviously a very small pool.
Yeah.
So 9 guys got votes last year: Igor Shesterkin, Jacob Markstrom, UC Saros, Frederik Andersen, Andrei Vasilevsky, Ilya Sorokin, Thatcher Demko, Ville Husso, Tristan Jarry. So to me, the only guys out of that list that would get votes this year would be Saros, Sorokin, and maybe Vasilevsky, but even he hasn't been that great.
Yeah.
So
it's scary because a lot of those goaltenders on those lists are guys that are locks to be good every year. And it's just been so inconsistent. And just talking from a fantasy draft perspective where I get to be my own general manager, it's tough to hold on to some of these guys and be like, kind of wait it out because you don't know when it's coming. Like, I have Jake Ottinger, I have Marc-Andre Fleury, Martin Jones, who's probably been my best goaltender. And I shit on him at the beginning of the year when I'm like, the Seattle Kraken are not going to make the playoffs. Right now, their starting goaltender is Martin Jones.
Yeah. Well, or Philip Grubauer. I mean,
at the time Grubauer was hurt, he was starting injured.
Yeah.
But
it's the most volatile position in the game right now. Like it really is. Like, and I really do feel like people are guessing sometimes. Like it just don't know from one year to the next. I feel like Kevin Cheveldayoff and David Poile are the only 2 general managers in the league who can put their head on the pillow at night and go, yeah, I don't have to worry about my goaltending. I mean, like, I just feel like they're the only 2 that can do that and say, yeah, like I really don't have to worry about my goaltending.
Yeah, and Nashville has that Askarov that's just in the wing. He played his first NHL game against Montreal United, lost.
Yeah.
But
played great.
He played phenomenal.
First period, he took 20 shots, his first NHL period, and let 1 goal in.
Yeah.
But again, do you think it's the goaltending thing? Do you think it's because of the game is becoming so fast that goalies can't keep up, or do you think it's just like you said, like it's kind of a guessing game from year to year for some teams?
Well, it is, and it is definitely a guessing game. So why is it a guessing game? Why do guys?
Yeah.
Like I don't know why guys put up like years like Shesterkin did last year and then come back and play the way they are this year. Although he's starting to bring it around too. I guess, like there's 9 guys on pace for 50 goals this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the most since the 80s, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a faster, more offensive game. It's more difficult. And I think it's way more side to side. Like now, almost all the goals you're seeing are like side to side. Like there's never, you get them off the rush and there's that, but like they're moving it around the offensive zone so quick, and you have to be so good at tracking pucks as a goalie now that if you're not, you're gonna get exposed big time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's the first time since 2007 that there's not, like you said, there's multiple guys going to 50. Peter, Kovalchuk, and Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah,
but I also think that goaltending is the most taxing position. And they always talk about mental strength in hockey and staying focused in that. The goalie is the only player that's on the ice for 60 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, he is. He's the only guy that's on the ice for 60 minutes. But I think a lot of teams overwork their goalies, not in games, but in practices. Yep. Like the goalie goes out there and he faces like 200 shots before the practice even starts. Yep. I'm not sure you need to work your goalie as hard as you do in practice. And you get these guys, like I keep hearing about these guys, they can't stand getting scored on even in practice. And they're jumping all over the place and trying to make every save in practice and that. And if I were that guy's coach, I'd be like, I don't care. Like you can let a couple of crappy ones in practice. Like don't go diving all over your net and trying to stop every guy because you're this proud guy that has to one up everybody all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, you know what, dude? It's a practice. You were talking about practice.
Yeah,
You know?
Hey,
yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
so-
Or you can just do what Chicago did and bring in Peter Cech to play goal.
Yeah, Peter Cech, the university goaltender,
The
David
soccer
Ayers.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soccer guy. Yeah.
I mean, there's more. Like, there's so many goalies. Like, I feel like we can just pretty much pick any team, like you said, that isn't Nashville or Winnipeg, and kind of talk about sketchy goaltending this season. Hopefully, that's not a trend because, I mean, a lot of team that's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, hopefully, you know, the likes of Thatcher Demko, Jacob Markstrom, you know, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin. Hopefully, that's finally a turnaround. I mean, Minnesota, Marc-Andre Fleury's 37 or 38. I mean, at some point he's going to regress, but
Well, he's regressed already. Let's face it. He's regressed. He has regressed. He's an average to below average goalie, I think now. Like, you look at his save percentage. I mean, you know, Philip Gustafson is like, they keep putting Fleury out there, but Gustafson has way better numbers. And he's played better. So, yeah.
Do you think that was a mistake then, that 2-year deal, getting rid of Cam Talbot?
Well, at the time I did, because Cam Talbot was really good.
Yeah.
But even Cam Talbot, like, you know, this year hasn't been great, you know? No, I mean, I don't think it's an egregious thing, but, you know, I would be definitely playing Gustafson more than they do. And I just think that they keep deferring to the guy who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And it's like, you know what, dude, like, we're going to spell you off a few times.
You know, and that's like another thing, you know, there's some teams that have some of these goalies, like you said, like Fleury, and they have someone that can play, that's the backup. But like you said, Hall of Fame name, are these teams holding on to that, being who he was before when they picked him up? Like, I think that could just be me.
I mean, him accepting a trade to the Minnesota Wild and signing a contract extension. Is there something that he agreed to that said, like, hey, I got to play X amount, like, for me to stay?
Yeah, but even if he did, it wouldn't be in his contract, because they can't put things like that in a contract. But even if it were, you know what,
a verbal,
guys sign as free agents all the time, and they say, yeah, you're going to be playing the first power play, and you're going to be doing this and going to be doing that, and next thing you know, the guy's in the minors. So I mean, I don't think, you know, I just think it's
happened to me,
kind of a deference thing, you know, to the guy who's in the Hall of Fame. And I mean, he's played 10 more games than Gustafson, and Gustafson's been demonstrably better. Like, he's just been demonstrably better. So, yeah, we'll see.
We'll move on. We'll talk the Bedard lottery.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my Montreal Canadiens keep losing a little bit more. They keep dropping.
They don't help themselves when they beat Nashville and the Islanders, though.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Those are games they have to lose. Those are games they got to lose those games. Yeah.
You know,
they're not
frustrating.
Yeah,
he's not going. They're not going down that far, I don't think.
No,
I mean, I would be happy to be somewhere around, you know, the 4 mark. Have a shot at maybe Leo Carlson. They always say, you know, it's not rigged. It's not rigged. It's not rigged.
It's not, because it's not. It's not.
I have such a hard time seeing any team other than, like, one of Bettman's babies being like the Arizona Coyotes or the Columbus Blue Jackets winning this.
Well, but right now, if you have the lottery now, Columbus should win. They're in last place.
Yeah.
You know, Arizona's in third last place.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you wanted, like if you wanted to put an argument against it being rigged, like, do you think if the NHL had any say over this whatsoever and could rig it, that they would have put Connor McDavid in Edmonton?
Very true.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. No, it's not rigged. It's never been rigged. It's like, I rag on the NHL all the time, and anytime I rag on them, it's for usually incompetence, not for a lack of integrity. Like, even with referees, I think referees, you know, I'm very critical of referees, but not their integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it was like the old like, I can't remember who was it, Sparky Anderson or whoever said, yeah, I've questioned a lot of umpires' integrity. I've never questioned an umpire's integrity, but, you know, his eyesight, yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's how I feel. And it's not rigged in any way, shape, or form. So to me, if Columbus gets him, Columbus deserves him. And you know what? I kind of I don't have a dog in this race at all.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of cheering for either Columbus or Anaheim because they're not tanking. Like they just suck.
Yeah.
Like they're just bad.
Yeah.
Like they're just bad. Like Anaheim went out and got John Klingberg this summer. Columbus went out and got Johnny Gaudreau. They were not trying to be bad. The Arizona Coyotes are trying to be bad, and they're being very good at it lately. They've lost 9 in a row. The Chicago Blackhawks were trying to be bad, and they're really bad. Actually, yeah, are they in last place overall?
Columbus, I think, won against Detroit and moved them ahead of Chicago, but they're neck and neck.
Yeah. Well, if you want to, some ammo for it being rigged, then he goes to Chicago because that's the market that could use a guy like that. A big market where hockey's really relevant and stuff. Not Columbus. If he goes to Columbus or Arizona, it's not rigged. You know what I mean? Yeah. But to me, those are the two, Columbus and Anaheim, they're not trying to finish last. They're just bad. Yeah. They're just really, really, really bad. And they're playing hard and they want to win and they're frustrated that they're not winning and they just suck. So those are the teams that need those guys, that need a Connor Bedard, right?
If you're Connor Bedard, is there a team that you don't want to go to?
I doubt it. I know the kid a little bit. I know him a little bit, and I would be very surprised if he were, turning his nose up at going somewhere.
Well, I don't think like Adam just said a Lindros, but I mean, of the teams you named, I mean, if you're not wanting to go to an original 6 like Chicago, and you're looking Arizona, Columbus, Anaheim, I'm probably picking SoCal. If you had your choice.
I don't know. Arizona. Have you ever spent any time in Arizona in the winter?
I have not.
No.
It's an amazing place. Yeah. It's an amazing place in the winter. It's great.
And I guess if they're playing at the college, he can also get his degree while he's there.
Yeah. He could probably live in residence.
Yeah.
Kegger and
get him on a meal plan.
Yeah.
Kegger in Bedard's room after the game.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah. I like that.
I'm all for it then.
Yeah.
Go to Arizona, kid.
You heard it here first. Bedard, Arizona.
Yeah. We'll move on to another thing that I feel is controversy. Would be the NHL bringing back the All-Star vote-ins. They took it out after the John Scott fiasco, and then they brought it back. What's your thoughts on them trying this again a few years later?
This is going to be a very short conversation.
Fair enough.
I looked at that when you sent the lineup.
Yeah.
And I the answer to that is, what do I think about it? I don't care. That's what I think about it. I don't care. I'm in the John Tortorella camp. I don't care about the All-Star game. I don't follow it. I don't get worried about who goes in it or not. I don't watch it. I don't pay any attention to it. I think it's a joke. And it's.
Do you think it adds to the mockery though of it? Having these vote-ins and being, it's not like, I remember back in the day they had the vote-in, but they gave you a drop-down of maybe 20 names you can pick from.
No, but John Scott was write-in. He was a write-in.
No, but that's what I'm saying. This is way back when. But now, the John Scott one was a write-in, and now it's back to being a write-in where people can make a mockery of it and say, "Hey, we're sending."
See, I'm following this so little. Now it's a Twitter thing, right? They vote on
Twitter hashtags.
So, anyways, I'm sorry, guys, but I just can't. I just cannot get I just can't. I don't have the emotional bandwidth to get even the least bit worked up about this crap.
I mean, I haven't.
To me, it's just I just don't care. Pick a guy from each team. I get it. You got to pick a guy from each team. Okay, so Seth Jones makes the All-Star game, and some other guy who's really good doesn't. I just don't care. Nobody tries. Nobody hits. Nobody cares. it's the ultimate spectacle for the place that it's in.
Yeah.
Like I've been to a lot of them. And you know what? I've probably the last 5 or 6, I haven't watched one. Like I've been there covering the thing, and I haven't watched 1 second of the skills competition or 1 second of any of the games. Like I just hate it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like it's a big deal for, like when it was in Nashville, it's a real big deal there. That was good. Like people got into it. And a couple of years ago, it was somewhere where it was like Tampa or something. I can't remember. I forget them 5 minutes after they end. But like it's a big deal for the local thing. And like it's kind of cool for their fan base. But for everybody else, it's a massive waste of time.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I never watched it.
I haven't watched it in years. Like, honestly.
Since it's been East and West full teams, or I think maybe the last one I watched was that the picking one Duffy was talking about last week with Phil Kessel being taken last.
And it was, and again, but that was a whole joke where they picked Phil last, and everyone was laughing about it. So again, add to the mockery. What did that do?
Well, what did they expect, though?
Yeah.
What did they expect?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody was going to get picked last.
Yeah.
Somebody was going to get picked last. And it was going to
so
suck for whoever that person was.
Yeah.
Like somebody was getting picked last.
Hey, man.
So what do you do? Like,
I just think they needed to cut it out. Or my pitch last week to Duffy was do it almost like what baseball does and just have more of a celebrity game. Like I think I tuned into the baseball celebrity one to watch Bryan Cranston. Rip apart a numb.
Yeah.
Than I did. Maybe I watched like the home run derby.
I mean, but like it's.
I think this year, like the Pro Bowl is going to be a flag football game.
Yeah, it's
they're not even trying anymore.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not even worried about that. It's like, that angered me as a big football fan. That angered me that they're gonna put a flag football. I understand. I get it. Guys are not because the guys don't take it seriously. Nobody hits. Nobody wants to get hurt. And nobody wants to get hurt. It's just like in hockey. No one's gonna skate hard. No one's gonna do this and do that.
So if it's a flag football game, like why even have offensive linemen there? Like it should just be like steamboats, right? Like we used to play. Yeah, 1 steamboat, 2 steamboat, 3 steamboat. He has 5 steamboats to throw the ball, and if he doesn't throw it, you can try and grab his flag or something like it. Yeah.
I think it's
Anyways, the less said about the All-Star game, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, but
hey, that's exactly. You share our sentiment.
I just don't have the emotional bandwidth to even care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a waste of time.
Me too.
I'm cool with the skills competition just because it gets, like you said, the locals in, but to have the 3-on-3 tournament.
They end up doing such stupid stuff half the time. It doesn't work. And like I remember, like there was one, what was it? Like they were stick handling around stuff and passing over that. And it was like, holy shit, I feel like we're entering day 3 of this competition.
Yeah.
Like it was like, this is the worst.
Well, there's so many people competing in each thing now, and it's just like
can't keep up.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like because you said everybody has to.
Everybody cares about accuracy. Everybody, well, not cares, but like the big things are the accuracy, the slap shot, and the skate. Those are it, right?
Yeah. Finish it there. Don't do all this great, but again, I think it's just the entertainment aspect. It's good for the locals.
Sell it to the kids.
The kids love it. That's again,
I'm fed up with it. I haven't even watched it yet, and I'm already sick.
I'm already over the All-Star game, and it's not even here yet.
Okay.
Just Arbor Jack I get in and knock somebody's lights out.
He'll blow somebody up in 3-on-3,
Yeah. We'll move on. We'll talk about your Leafs, and we'll wrap up with the hat.
Why are you thinking they're my Leafs? Like, because I covered them?
I feel if you're going to commit a decade to being a beat reporter, you have to like them to some extent, right?
No. Like I was the biggest Canadians fan in the world growing up.
Jesus,
it's perfect. Well,
I'm
okay with
skipping take this time. I'm going to do an on-air apology right now to Ken Campbell. He is a Habs fan.
No, I'm not. I'm not. What?
This guy's killing me. Who do you cheer for, Kev?
I was when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I will be after I retire. But now I don't cheer for anybody. I cheer for the best story. And I never, I was as hard on the Leafs when I covered them as anybody. And Actually, I covered them. They had some good years when they made the conference final twice, and then I left. I actually left after the 2005-2006 season. So they haven't won a playoff round since then. So I think I have something to do with that.
You and JR.
You and Jeremy Roenick have a reason, yeah.
Exactly. He blew it. He got blown up, then went in and scored that overtime goal.
Yeah.
Won the series, and they haven't done diddly since.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
As soon as this airs on Friday, you're gonna be getting a call from Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Kenny, we need you back, brother.
That's good.
So we'll talk about not Ken Campbell's Maple Leafs.
and
And we're going to talk about Austin Matthews. I just been seeing on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, whether it's the people that are commenting on Leaf stories or some of my friends just hating on the fact that he's not putting up the points or the goals he was last year. And I think I want to talk about the big picture here. I feel he is still putting up solid points, but he is such a more well-rounded player this season than in any other season that he played.
Yeah, I think you could make that argument, and I think he's hurt. I think he's got some injuries that he's not letting on. And I mean, how many guys would kill to have a lousy season and get 40 goals?
Yeah,
I mean me.
And I mean, Alex Ovechkin had a 32-goal season, right?
Yeah.
He's had bad years too. And I mean, I'm not going to break down his everything that he does well and does poorly or whatever, but I just know that there are, a lot of players, like probably 95% of them, that would give their left nut to have a bad season like he's having, as the best season. He still scores. He's still got a lethal shot. He's still, dangerous out there all the time. For me, again, this is another one where it might be a short conversation because, I mean, everything is in this market, or I'm not going to call it this market in Toronto.
Yeah.
Market is going to be judged on the playoffs. And, you know what? Like if he scores 37 goals this year and they go to the conference final, it's great. If he scores, if he goes bonkers in the last half and scores 57 goals this year and they lose in the first round again, it doesn't matter, right? So everything is in the prism of the playoffs and whether or not they win a round. Like everybody talks about them being a Stanley Cup contender, and they are. I mean, they are. They're good. They're a good team. Like they might have the best one, like some of the best regular seasons of their history last year and this year. They're a good team. They are a Stanley Cup contender, but let's win a round first,
So I know people have mentioned that, Austin himself has mentioned that he's focusing on his defensive game. Do you think it is him focusing on his defensive game, or do you think it's an injury, or maybe a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B?
I think it's more injury related. I mean, Sheldon Keefe alluded to it the other day when he missed that game. He's been dealing with something for a while. I mean, I think it's more that than it is defensive play. But I mean, he has gotten better defensively. I know you had him as a Selke finalist. I wouldn't go that far, but he's been better. He still has lapses, I think, and there are times when he's pretty clueless defensively sometimes, but for the most part, he's been better, and he's not putting up the goals. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and scores 65 goals next year again. Wouldn't be the least bit surprised.
So if you're Leafs management, and you know that your best player has been nursing an injury for X amount of time, would you not, I feel like it's safe to say the Leafs are going to make playoffs. Would you not want him to address that injury now and sit out and miss that time now instead of, like we mentioned earlier, the whistles kind of get put away in the playoffs, and you're going to take, let's say it's a wrist injury or an ankle injury, you're getting a bit of a hard slash to the ankles, and that's not getting called.
Yeah.
I would rather that be taken care of now.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, There's a lot of talk about load management. I think there is load management. There should be load management in hockey, but I think it's more in-game load management than
Than like basketball where you sit a couple
like
games.
basketball where they just sit out games, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's more like you don't want them playing, 23 minutes a game. You don't need them killing penalties. You don't need to have them out there every other shift, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I bet that if it's, like if they, I mean, the Leafs have, say what you want about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you can say a lot of things about them, but they have some of the best off ice resources in the world, in sports. They have more money to throw at that kind of stuff than most other organizations do. So if Austin Matthews were really hurt and it were really like going to hamper him and hamper the team, he wouldn't be playing. Yeah. So I would trust that they have a good sort of feel for that. And I mean, some years you're just going better than others. And I think maybe this is one of those years where maybe he's not going to be going as well as he was last year. And that's okay. I mean, they're destined to finish second or third in their division. And they're going to probably play Tampa in the first round. So here we go again, right?
And like to me, and Sheldon, this great success that he's had as a coach, like I don't think that, like you said, he would let Matthews play injured just to try and make that push. I think, like Joel said, he'd rather have it like me. Like I'm from where Sheldon started his coaching career in Pembroke, and like I remember his teams were unbelievable, and even his star players, they weren't playing well. They'd be on the ice, but like you said, they wouldn't be killing penalties. They wouldn't be out there. Like, I think it's to me, it's at some point too, it's where like the coaching in Toronto has to stop getting such a bad rap, because, you can't blame Sheldon for everything.
He's a good coach.
He's a great coach, right?
He's a really good coach.
And I think like you said, if Matthews can finish the year like as so-called average that he's playing right now and still be one of the top 5 players in the league.
Yeah.
It's
I think, and too, like, I mean, like I say, their destiny is almost set already, right? Yeah. Like they're probably like, I mean, they could, but I doubt they're going to fall into a wild card spot, and they're not going to win the division. Mm-hmm. So they're going to finish second or third. So you're playing for home ice in the first round, and you almost certainly who you're playing. So so it's not like they have to try him out there all the time to get points. So
and we'll move on to our last piece, and it's probably my favorite defenseman I've gotten to watch play in my young life. PK Subban, retired, doing the Montreal celebration or honoring that they did the other night. Some big reactions from the crowd. Did the low high fives with Barry.
Love to see that.
What would you say is PK Subban's legacy as an NHL player?
That's interesting. Like, I was thinking about it, and I at first I was like, yeah, he was good, but not Hall of Fame. No way. And then I think, well, maybe. Like, it's not outrageous. No. You know what I mean? Like, I think, I think in Montreal, that there's one tier of defensemen that historically, right?
Yeah.
You got the big three. You got Robinson, Lapointe, and Savard. Yeah. You've got like Doug Harvey. Going way back. You got Sprague Cleghorn. Guys like that. He's not in that group. He's definitely not in that group. But like, was Butch Bouchard any better than him? Was Tom Johnson any better than him? Jacques Laperriere any better than him? Kenny Reardon was probably better than him. But like, you know what? He won a Norris Trophy.
Yeah.
Finished top 3 voting Norris Trophy 3 times. He was twice a first-time All-Star, once a second-team All-Star. There have been guys who got into the Hall of Fame with way worse credentials than that.
And he has a gold medal, even though he didn't play very much.
Yeah. Like way worse credentials than PK Subban has. So I don't expect him to get in, but I'm thinking, I mean, maybe he's in the conversation. At first it was like, no, not a chance. And then, you think about it and you go, well, he won a Norris Trophy. That's got to be worth something. He was the best defenseman in the league. He was a top 3 defenseman in the league 3 times. That's pretty good. And so I think he's in the second tier. He's not in the Harvey, Serge Savard, Larry Robinson, Chris Chelios. He's not in that group with the Montreal Canadiens. He's not.
So who do you have in that second group? Are we talking like Andrei Markov?
Yeah. I'm having okay. So their Hall of Famers are Larry Robinson, Guy Lapointe, Serge Savard, Chris Chelios, Sprague Cleghorn, Doug Harvey, Butch Bouchard, Tom Johnson, Jacques Laperriere, Kenny Reardon. Other guys have played defense for them and been in the Hall of Fame, but those are the main guys that played
those are their
a lot of their careers for Montreal. So, he's not at the top of that group. Is he with Jacques Laperriere? Is he with Tom Johnson? Maybe. Butch Bouchard, probably not. Butch Bouchard, was on a team that won 5 straight Stanley Cups. Yeah. And, was the captain. And the last one, he didn't really contribute much. He actually just went out for a couple of shifts in the last game, and that was it. And then he retired. So, the lack of Stanley Cups, I think, hurts him in terms of his stature. He came close once with Nashville, obviously. Made the Stanley Cup final. Never really came too close before or after that.
Yeah.
And really wasn't very good in New Jersey in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But there are guys who look terrible at the end of their careers who get in the Hall of Fame. I remember Yari Curry. I just couldn't believe how bad he was when he was playing in Colorado at the end of his career in Los Angeles. I just couldn't believe how bad he was. And, no one's going to say he's not a Hall of Famer, right? So I think he's in the definitely in the second tier of guys, with your Andrei Markovs and your Jacques Laperrieres and your probably had a Roman Hammer. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's in the upper part of this. He's in the upper part of the second tier.
Okay.
I guess that's where I put him.
Do you think that his contributions off ice, to growing the game for African Americans and his humanitarian stuff, does that come into play to Hall of Fame conversations, or does it strictly have to be on ice?
For me, it is on ice, but that doesn't hurt. Certainly PK, was a big presence, right? He was a big presence, and he used that presence in a very, very positive way. Both in terms of, bringing issues to the forefront, like cultural hockey issues to the forefront, and setting up a foundation that goes to the Montreal Children's Hospital. That's been historic, right? So absolutely that is a factor. I think it's more of a kind of if you're judging between two guys and you can't decide which one, then you go to the off ice stuff a little bit more, I guess. But he was like I said, he was a huge presence in the game, and he used that presence to do good things. So I think that's great.
Yeah. If you were to go back to the day that he got traded for Shea Weber, looking back on how both their careers have gone so far, do you still make that trade?
Wow. Yes.
I think so. I agree.
Yes, because the Montreal Canadiens got to the Stanley Cup final in 2020 because of two guys.
Yeah.
Carey Price and Shea Weber.
Yeah.
That's why they got there. Carey Price stopped all the pucks, and Shea Weber killed everyone who went near him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yes, I do still make that trade.
I think about this trade a lot. I remember exactly where I were when I went down. I remember waking up from a nap and probably having 12 or 13 notifications from people blowing up my phone because they knew how big of a fan I was of PK Subban. And I actually shed a tear.
Yeah, well,
that is the only time I've ever shed a tear in sports or watching sports. And I just wonder, because of how much he loved that city. He just signed the big deal. Yeah. Arguably one of his best friends in Carey Price is in this city. The money that he just pledged to the city Like, I wonder. Like, to me, if that happened to me, I would be absolutely fucking devastated as a
sure.
human being. And I get they're professionals, and I get they have to expect this stuff. But this was his boyhood team. He put his heart and soul into this team. How much of that crushed him? Like, I just wonder if he would have stayed with.
Well, if it did, then he's not mentally tough enough to handle that, because like I'll defer to Scott Stevens.
Mhm.
Scott Stevens, started his career with Washington, signed an offer sheet with St. Louis, played in St. Louis for a couple of years, maybe even only 1 year, and then he was compensation for them signing Brendan Shanahan, and he was crushed. He was crushed. He was. I don't think any guy has not wanted to go to a place more than Scott Stevens didn't want to go to New Jersey in 1991 or 92, whatever year it was. And then look what he ended up doing, right? He had a great career there. He won a couple of Stanley Cups, was, the franchise. I get that it's that way. I just think that, by the time that trade was made, PK was kind of trending downwards anyways.
Yeah.
And it would have continued no matter where he played. And you know what? You could say that it crushed him, and it probably did for a while, but he had some good times in Nashville. And you know what? What if he had been playing in Montreal the way he was playing in New Jersey, and then people get on him, and then now you're talking about legacy, and people are like, oh well, like then he left Montreal on a high, and that's how everybody remembers him there. I think it's way better, and it would have been better for him to be remembered that way than to be remembered, playing and, like if he would have been playing for them last year when they were so terrible, that would have just been a crappy way to go out, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Well, we have one more thing we want to discuss, and I don't know what it is. This is
okay. I don't either.
Yeah, it's something that Adam and I were just kind of shooting the shit about, and we'll see if it works.
Yeah.
If not, we'll cut it out. But it's called Yay or Nay, and Adam has picked three things, and again, I don't know what they are, so I'll be hearing it for the first time as well, Ken. And we just got to say whether we give a thumbs up or thumbs down to this, whatever they are. So I'm looking forward to see what you put together.
I mean, you know how hard it is to figure out questions that you can go like yay or nay to without having a two-part question. But I think I got the somewhat good question.
Okay.
I guess so. Is the coach's challenge ruining the flow of the game?
Yay.
Like, as in, even when they go upstairs, they call it no goal, and then the coaches challenge the no goal call is kind of like what I'm trying to.
So you're saying yay as in it is ruining the flow of the game?
It is.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It is.
I think it's ruining the game. I mean, you want to get the calls right, but that doesn't mean you're not ruining the flow of the game. You're getting the calls right. You're overturning mistakes. You're righting wrongs, but it still like messes with the flow of the game. And I there's no either you're gonna live with that with the flow of the game being compromised and getting it right, or you're just gonna live with human error. One or the other. I would rather live with human error.
I agree.
I would rather live with human error.
Yeah.
Like if I'm the Calgary Flames, like like it's like they lost the Stanley Cup. They lost the Stanley Cup because of an error.
Yeah.
If there would have been, they would have won. They would have won. And so, you know what? If they can do it, and the sun came up the next day, and we all lived through it, then I think you can live through a lot of the stuff that's being called back now.
Yeah. I'm okay with it, but I would I agree it ruins the flow of the game, but I'm okay with keeping the challenges, but doing like they have in soccer, where it's not like a coach or a player challenge. It's the guys in Toronto or wherever the hell you want to call, if they're even going to have in-house people reviewing stuff in real time. And unless it actually, a goal crossed the line and they didn't see it and they flag like, hey, this was a goal, or vice versa.
Yeah.
that I would be okay with, but the coaches, whatever, yeah, we're challenging, and it's, sometimes it's not even, they don't even win the challenge.
And then they get a penalty.
Yeah, like I don't know, like to me that part of it sucks. Like at least
No, that part of it's great.
I like that.
I think that's what I think that's what takes away the frivolous challenges. Yeah, you because I saw it last night in a game. There was a goal that might have been challenged, and it was like, no, they didn't challenge it because they were already down a goal. And if they had lost the challenge, they would have had to be killing a penalty with a couple of minutes left in the game. I'm like, I like the fact that you get penalized.
Oh, I just meant more. I would prefer just see it be a definite from whoever it is, Toronto or in-house in the arena, and not have it at all, and just have it as, hey, this really matters.
Yeah.
Because the odd offside one they challenge or whatever, like I could do without them. Like I could live with human error on that part, but when it comes down to it matter, like making a difference in the score of a game or an outcome of a game, I feel like it should be right or wrong if we have that technology.
Yep.
Anyways, that was probably longer than what we were supposed to do.
So the second one, should teams be allowed to wear their third or alternate jerseys whenever they want, according to obviously the other teams, if they're home or away?
Nay. Because some of them are so bad that it's
oh yeah, that's fair.
Like Tampa should take their third. And it's not a jersey.
Is that the one with the yellow lightning
jersey? It's a sweater, first of all. Yeah. But they should take their third uniforms and fire them directly into the sun. Yeah. Like Chicago to Detroit. Like there's some bad ones, right?
Yeah.
So you can't be going out looking like that.
I love the Washington black though.
Yeah.
The Boston one is incredible.
Yeah. And
did you see that yesterday? They played yesterday.
Is that the cartoon bear?
The cartoon bear, and they got Boston, and they got the laces on it. It is spectacular. It's spectacular. They should wear that home and away 82 games a year all the time. And
go back to one jersey.
But would you want, like, you guys are Montreal fans? Would you want them wearing that outer puff blue?
No, burn that.
But I also
that's another one that needs to get fired into the sun. It looks awful.
Yeah,
I know they were trying to
teams had the choice, though. I don't think that Jeff Molson would want to rock that more than he had to.
Yeah,
but I feel like Washington, like you said, Boston, like there's a couple ones that look good. Like I love the Pittsburgh back to like almost like the 90s with the diagonal.
The Sharks across that's
the Sharks is beautiful.
Buffalo's the black one.
But I just think you can't have those ugly ones out too often. And
that's fair. It's like the NFL too, right?
But like back in the day, they didn't have, like, not every team had a third jersey. Like I'm thinking back even 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
If a team decided to release one on their own, great. But now I feel like it's almost forced.
Yeah, it is.
It is forced. They all have to have one. Yeah. Like they all did the retro thing this year, right? So
which is dumb because you have Seattle and in Vegas. Are they, neither of them are old enough to have a retro.
Yeah.
No, but I think Vegas, like the other night, they did the Vegas
the glow in the dark one.
The Thunder.
Yeah.
Like their IHL team, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's your last one?
All right. I don't know how to word this one the best way, but do you think Taves and Kane should be rental players for Stanley Cup contender teams?
Yay and nay.
Yeah, like that, like as in the fact that
yay for Kane, nay for Taves.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that Kane is going to go to a contender team because
he's going to New York. He's going to New York probably.
He can still provide what teams need, and Taves is still a great hockey player. I love Jonathan Taves, but he's just not that I'm going to go and get you a point or a goal every game guy anymore.
Yeah, I don't think Jonathan Taves is. I mean, and for that matter, Patrick Kane is really struggling this year to produce offense.
And I see the thing that he could be missing a lengthy amount of time with an injury he just had.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But I can see why Taves would not want to go. Like, I think he just wants to be the captain and, retire as a captain and move into his front office job or whatever he's going to do after that.
Yeah.
Whereas Kane might be a commodity that, like might actually, what you're getting Patrick Kane at the deadline for is you're not going to get him to put up 20 points in the playoffs. You're getting him to get an overtime goal in game 3 that helps.
That one big goal that
you know what I mean? Yeah.
exactly.
That's what you're getting him for.
Yeah.
So
I think both can be moved.
I think so, for sure. Yeah.
I could see the Winnipeg Jets bringing home Winnipeg-born Jonathan Toews to add some Stanley Cup pedigree to that locker room.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah.
There would obviously need to probably be a third team involved to eat some of that salary. But Winnipeg, almost like Toronto, but not as talked as much about only making it so far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they've had some great teams, and not been able to get over that hump.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think this guy's won 3 Stanley Cups. He's from the area.
Yeah, why not?
Bring him home.
Bring him home.
Bring him home.
The fans will love it.
Okay,
And and if he's worried about being captain, they have a vacancy. He can work towards it.
Yeah.
I can get
but 100%, I agree. I think if it's not New York, maybe New Jersey for Patrick Kane. But I think it'll be in that area somewhere.
I don't think he's going home to Buffalo. I don't think he's going to Buffalo.
Well, New York State is close to New Jersey, and the Rangers. I mean, it's closer than Illinois. But I think he ends up somewhere East Coast.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
And that's another episode of Average Jocks.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, thank you for coming on and putting up with us for the last
almost hour and a half.
We greatly appreciate it. Absolute beauty. Thanks for coming on.
No problem, guys. Thanks. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, good. I'm glad, and we hope to have you on again in the future. So,
if you have anything to plug, if anybody wants to go read anything of your stuff, go right ahead.
Yeah, have at her.
Yeah, just kencampbell.substack.com. That's my new platform. It's a platform called Hockey Unfiltered. I post a couple of times a week and have a podcast, Hockey Unfiltered podcast. You can find that there. You can find all my work at that particular venue. And try a free subscription trial, and then get off your wallet and pay for it.
And we will put that link in the description for the episode, so you guys can check them out there. Absolute pleasure, like I said. Hope to have you on again in the future, and I'll be reading.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care, Kenny.
Take care.
Both guys, 5 minutes each for fighting!
There's one guy I want to know more about, and it's just because he scared the shit out of me as a kid. Paddlard, was he nice? Is he nicer than what he appeared? Because he always looked like he was ready to just pound somebody's skull in. And I remember as a kid, you'd stand at the bottom, you guys coming out of the dressing room, everybody fist pumping, and his was always a little harder. And I'm like, oh, this like,
he was probably just game face on, but Corey might know him more than myself. But for the experience I had with Pat, man, that guy was money. That guy was, he had a heart on him. Like, he wasn't the most talented guy, but he was ready to go to war like 24/7. Pat would go with anybody, and Pat would not hesitate. And Pat was a great teammate. He wouldn't expect ice time. He was just there. He knew what he was there for, and he was going to make sure he was there every single game. He was honestly great teammate. Pat, I haven't talked to that guy in years, but honestly, great person, great human being for sure.
Yeah. I can't say anything more than that. Pat, I know him maybe a little bit more. Pat would get to the rink at the same time. I was kind of meticulous. I get to the rink at like 4:30, 7 o'clock warm up. I don't know why, just the way I was. And Pat was right behind me. It could be, Joel, that you got the big fist pump was because back then they had this, do you remember, Paul, the red, thick liquid syrup that was like Red Bull, but poured like
No, I couldn't take shit before a game. As much as I was a hyperactive. I couldn't take nothing before a game. I don't know.
So he had like these
Oh,
bottles
yeah?
of syrup and then added water to it. And I'm like, like,
So is this like a pre-workout?
yeah, you're gonna like
Oh, wow.
one shift in the first, maybe a shift in the second. Like your heart's gonna fucking come out of your chest. Like, what like, goes, oh, don't worry about it. But he was always there for the team. Like whatever they needed him to do, Pat was going to do. There was
no-
for sure.
And I don't think I've ever seen anybody happier scoring a goal. I think he scored one goal all that year. And I remember he did like a couple laps around the rink. Like it was like almost that scene in Hockey Night in Canada when Theo Fleury's sliding on his knees and going nuts. That's the vibe I got from him.
Oh yeah, Pat was the teammate for sure, man. Because I'd played against him for years in the North American League and the Senior League, and so when we played together there, that was the first time we played together on the same team. And he was, I mean, just from first practice on, we were like, he was your best friend. The guy was awesome. The guy was, and it was from the heart. It meant it was authentic, right? Like he was happy to see it, but not phony happy. Like not, hey, what's up, bud? Or not like some of the guys. This guy was actually really happy. He'd come into the rink and he had his 20 best friends in front of him. And that's why the way he did his job, right? That's the way I felt it. But no, for sure. Pat was the ultimate teammate for sure.
So just like thinking of other just crazy stuff that I don't think you would see in any other league. And this involves Pat, but I remember, and I forget the team you guys are playing, but you'll know the goalie. He just finished fighting. And I think it was 2 fights and you're kicked out of the game or something. So he just had his second fight. He gets kicked out. It must have been the second period because you guys were at the other end. And he's skating towards the Cornwall dressing room. And, you're getting on almost in dressing room's almost in like the corner. So he's skating by the opposing team's goaltender. And I don't know what this goalie said to him, but he just charges the goaltender.
I can't remember what goalie that was.
That was David Plouffe.
Oh, Plouffe, he was with them before.
And then 2 weeks later, Plouffe gets traded to Cornwall.
That's right. Oh yeah, Plouffe was playing for Pirates de Soulanges, I think.
Yes.
Was he Corey before he got traded, right?
Yeah, with Leon and Patrick Roy.
Marty Roy.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we picked all 3 of them up when they closed. Didn't they close the team or?
Yeah. Because we were down to 14. Jean Pierre, Louisville, and then us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jean Pierre Saguenay.